All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business today. Gonna see if it has BSS for these two Google searches. All right, so we're in the GBC universe, taking declining boudoir photographers to the number one boudoir photographer in their city. And our North Star, as always, is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we're rising, that means we're attracting, we're bringing in people across the entire intent ladder, high intent to low intent. If we're falling, we're missing peeps somewhere along the intent ladder. We're not successfully bringing them in, or even making them aware we exist. So, BSS, focusing here on this, this profile, this brand, focusing on the highest intent buyers, searching right now for boudoir photo shoots right in their city, social search and Google search. Then our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, focusing on BLCS. Right now, we're only working with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads, and that's actually going to be the lowest intent people, in any location, but it's going to have the highest number of them. All right, so BSS is boudoir search sameness. That is when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And as a result, if we got 0 slots, we're basically dead, kind of dead in the water if we're on page 2 or deeper. And that's because we already know that approximately 80% of Google searches are page 1 only Google searches. So they never even go to page 2. So we care about this 80% cohort. This is the bulk of the market. So if we're in 0 slots on page 1, we're invisible to them because they ain't clicking any page deeper at all. Now, if we got 1 slot on page 1, it's also as boudoir search sameness because we're looking the same as every other boudoir photographer. Everyone else on page 1's got most likely 1 link. So anyone going down the Google search, they're clicking us, they're clicking first link, second link, third link, all 10 links, opening up everyone, contacting everyone, getting a quote from everyone, price shopping everyone. And so boudoir search sameness, not good for us. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is actually not normal, extremely common, but to have that few number of slots page 1 of Google is not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are 1, which many people know about, which is market saturation, and 2, which basically nobody knows about, is the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, it's when someone gets a new iPhone, all of a sudden they're throwing up, Google My Business profile, Google My Business profile, basically increasing and throwing up their website, competing more for page 1 dominance. Or they get a new camera, then they start posting them on Facebook groups. So basically they're increasing the supply of boudoir photographers where the number of buyers in the market remains fixed, which means it's making it harder for every current boudoir photographer to get clients. A big tsunami when that happened was when we had COVID. So when we had COVID, massive, when people lost their jobs, they still need to earn an income. So a lot of them came out as boudoir photographers, saturating the market, making it harder for all the current sellers. Now, the second deeper root cause is the false belief of page 1 equality. This is what I've seen is the number 1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. It's basically kind of this false belief is assuming that every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And, as a result, we, if you got 1 slot, okay, got 1 slot on page 1 and get some more market saturation. All right, we're pushed down onto, basically we're pushed on to, page 2, but that's fine because every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1. So I guess it's not my time anymore. Hopefully they, they shut down their website. So maybe I got a chance to go back on page 1. But no, that is 100% incorrect. Google actually wants to give as many page one slots to the boudoir photographer that wants as many as they'll put in the effort to acquire. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page one on Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page one on Google in only 10 days. And so I know for a fact Google will give the slots to those who truly want them. Now, boudoir photographer with BSS, boudoir search sameness, is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Because yeah, dude, basically we're either got 0 slots on page one, so on page 2 or deeper. And again, approximately 80% of searchers. The bulk of the market ain't never going to see us because they're page one only. And then for 1 slot on page one, we don't stand out. We're not different. We're being price shopped against everyone who also has, 1 slot on page one. So what's the solution? We got the solution. BSS is treated with social search saturation SQ'd methodology. We know this is a solution because we invented it. Again, this is what I used to go from 0 out of 10 slots on page one to 9 out of 10 slots on page one in 10 days, Google page one search. And this is actually the only solution I've seen that can successfully fight back against market saturation. Basically, we saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, so we show up there. And once we saturate there, the outcome is actually that flows into those results actually flow onto Google page one, or Google. And if we get enough signals, obviously that puts us a higher chance Google puts us at Google page one. So the SQ'd methodology, to use it, we have to accept page one equality as a false belief, which kind of breaks that brain barrier to, okay, what's the solution we can use? SQ'd methodology. And it's the only thing that I've seen that actually can successfully fight back against market saturation for boudoir photographers, because imagine we're in San Jose, California. It's a million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got a website. We're one of the boudoir photographers. Everyone's trying to be ranked page one Google, but we employ SQ'd methodology to the max, where we're taking up the first 300 slots for social search on all the platforms for our highest intent buyer keywords, which then flows onto Google. And let's say we're the first 300 slots on Google for our highest intent keywords as well. Well, that means literally the first 30 pages is filled up with only us on Google organic search. And so when we have that, buyers got to go to page 31 to essentially find any other competitors, and no one's going to page 31. So buyers can essentially only find us. So even if there's max a ton of boudoir photographers, market gets more and more saturated, we stay dominating page one, which is actually where the bulk of searches stop. 80% of them, approximately 80% of them. So whose business is growing? Our business is growing. Whose business is disappearing? Everyone else. Even though the market's super saturated. Now, once you're with SQ'd methodology, we have page one visibility. Page one visibility is getting at least 2 out of 10 slots on page one, where we're actually looking different. We do have a GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 though, 3 slots out of 10 slots. And once we actually achieve that, we get an extra bonus, which is for every new slot we take up on page one, we're actually kicking competing boudoir photographers off page one, effectively making them invisible. So this is kind of an extra bonus of ranking on page one, is we're actually kicking a competitor off page one, and we already know approximately 80% of searchers never even go to page two. So we effectively make our competitors invisible. But we do want to hit the GBC minimum of at least 3 out of 10. Now, page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So we don't have 0 out of 1. 0 slots on page one. We don't have 1 slot on page one. We do not have 2 slots on page one. Well, 2 slots on page one means we don't have BSS, but that means we have not hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page one. And we want to hit that because we actually Yeah, if we get 3 out of 10 on page one, we're kicking 2 competitors off, or maybe even 3. Also, we're going to look way more visible than simply having the people with 1 link. And very rarely will there be someone else with two links, but we'll look even better than them as well. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer. So we got to get visible. So this is our universe here. We got disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by kind of the dual horns of market saturation and page one equality, the false belief of page one equality. And we achieve, or we utilize S-cube methodology. That's our solution. We achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. So my results using this is my own S-cubed methodology for myself. I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So came in here, gonna look at the organic, and got organic slot 1, Instagram, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4, slot 5, slot 6, slot 7, slot 8, and slot 10. So we've got 9 out of 10 slots on Google here, simply from utilizing our S-cubed methodology. And this went from 0 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 in 10 days. So we're not going to say if this boudoir photography business has BSS, yes or no, for these 2 Google searches. So let's see. Boom. All right. Santa Clara, San Jose. All right, right here. So Santa Clara. All right, so let's see. We got 1 out of 10. And that. And, well, we got 1 out of 10. I mean, we got the Google, but we don't get that as Google, the 10 organic slots. So we got 1 out of 10. Dang. Yeah, no, I know actually Santa Clara is right in the middle of San Jose, so that actually makes sense. More kind of keyword overlap competing for these slots. So yeah, dude, we got BSS here, boudoir search sameness. I'm simply looking at the 10 organic slots. Now let's also look at San Jose. All right, so we got 1 out of 10. We got, all right, we got 1 out of 10 again. So we got BSS. All right, so we got BSS for both searches. We're at 1 out of 10 for both. And so, yeah, we got BSS, and also we did not hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page one slots to really get that boudoir search visibility. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, so you've done you've done your local search, you've done your city search for the highest intent keywords that a boudoir buyer would be searching, and you either have BSS for one of them, or for one of them, or both, you're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page one of Google. And you understand the false belief of page one equality, and you're like, oh yeah, that actually makes sense. We can actually take as many slots as we want, because Google will give them to us if we put in the work. And so you're seeing that S-cubed methodology is literally exactly what you've been waiting for. And you're like, yes, this is the perfect solution for me. So I got to use this thing. And you understand the market saturation. The 2 prongs, feel good new iPhones, feel good new cameras, kind of the gear saturating the market. But when you actually look at the outcomes of S-cubed methodology, you're saying, okay, first page, yeah, more kind of initial benefits, more page one slots, and secondarily, kicking more competitors out of page one slots and up to page 2, effectively making them invisible. So you're liking those initial benefits, and you're looking ahead from kind of at this market saturation thing, and you're seeing AI is taking more and more people's jobs. You're like, uh-oh, there's kind of going to be a much higher increasing number of boudoir photographers entering the marketplace, and over and over time as AI takes more people's jobs. That's on top and above kind of standard new gear people entering the marketplace. So you're seeing, man, you gotta you decide you're going to fortify your spot on page one. Literally have so many slots on page one that you actually have like backup links in waiting that Google wants to rank on page one but can't because we've taken so many slots that literally kind of the new peeps that come into the market will never even be able to rank on page one on Google. So it's kind of like you're saying that you also want to use that SQ methodology, which it's perfect for, to kind of fortify those levees. Like down in Nolens, Louisiana, they got the levees to keep the ocean out. You want to set up your Boudoir page one domination levees. So you're seeing SQ methodology is perfect for that, and you want to achieve page one visibility. You want to become a visible Boudoir photographer with Boudoir search visibility because you know you need those things in order to become the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you're also liking the future kind of future benefits of successfully executing SQ methodology every single day, which is every single day we execute it correctly. We are actually we're creating these invisible thematic keyword columns around our brand, like attached to our brand, kind of like columns like the Parthenon in Greece, or spokes going to the middle of the hub of the bike tire. And these things are basically AI mindshare. So every day we're building that up, building it up, an increase in probability. We're showing up here, the AI overview, the most premium placement right now, showing only one slot, the primary slot. I mean, this is going to help get buyers, obviously. And the secondarily, kind of the other longer term benefit is every day we do this correctly, we're increasing the probability that standard AI search and all these different AI search apps recommend us as well. ChatGPT search, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot search, Google Gemini search. And, Google's still approximately 80% of all search, but I haven't done standard Google search probably like a year. I've always been using the AI overview button. It's basically like summarize it for me. I don't want to read nothing. And so you're seeing people use AI. It's literally more and more and more every single day. And so, you need to be increasing the probability you're showing up on AI search. And dude, last time I searched for Boudoir photographer with AI search, I literally brought up 3 of them, but then I actually went like through Google and all these different searches to find, how manually how many are out there in the city. And there's approximately like 60. So dude, we gotta get on these top 3 slots. And again, what's the best solution out there that helps with that? SQ's methodology. It helps give all these benefits. And you're also seeing that you've decided that you're gonna be the first mover in your city on using SQ methodology. Because my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city and lock everyone else out. So you're saying you can get all these initial benefits, get all these future benefits, and lock out all your competitors from using the strategy and build up kind of those invisible thematic keyword column momentum, like back-end AI mindshare, while your competitors have no idea what's going on. And we're able to put so much distance between you and your current competitors, and definitely any future competitors, that makes it a no-brainer. And conversely, if one of your competitors was to come with me first, and I would lock you out, then you're also seeing you would actually have to rederive S-cubed methodology all on your own. You have no idea if you had derived it or rederived it correctly or not. And then you'd have to successfully equal our execution every single day. But if you did that, you would simply maintain the gap that me and your competitor would have already gotten ahead of you with. And so to kind of close the gap, you'd actually have to out execute us by like 2 or 3x every single day and begin pulling those invisible thematic keyword columns, momentum, mindshare, AI mindshare we had already been achieving away from us and towards yourself. And you still would not even have 100% confidence you've derived SQ methodology correctly in the first place. And so doing all that, like, dude, who's got 60 to 80 hours in a day to do all that stuff? So you decide to screw that. You're going to be the first mover in this. You don't want to deal with a competitor getting it. So if that's you, shoot me a DM. And shoot me a DM when the hospital is open for new patient intake. Hospital is currently closed for new patient intake. So you cannot DM me even if you wanted to. And no, you cannot work with me right now, even if you wanted to. But when I do open the hospital for new patient intake, shoot me a DM and we'll see if you qualify for using our SQ'd methodology.